Sorry, I was supposed. Yeah, I forgot to record till now. Uh, so the Reformation is something that we'll study in detail because that generates, as the sociologist Max Webber calls, the Protestant ethic that led to the emergence of the capitalist civilization. We are still living in the capitalist civilization. People thought that capitalism will fade away, but that didn't happen. Very much to the contrary, capitalism strives and survives. In your second semester, while we're doing Marx, we'll make a comparison between Marx and Max Weber, uh, because Max Weber believed that capitalism will not be overcome. And the reason why he says that is because he actually believes that uh, the capitalist civilization is based in legal rationality. And since it is based in legal rationality, he believes that the capitalist civilization will continue to exist and it won't disappear. Like the feudal civilization, or rather the feudal period and the primitive period. So he had this big, uh, what should I say? He had this uh, difference of opinion with Marx. And thus far, if we look at history, it seems as if Max Weber was right and Marx was wrong. But that is something that we will be discussing in the second semester. But I have mentioned Max Weber, and I have mentioned uh, the Protestant ethic, because if you want to understand certain things with which we live today and take for granted, things like free markets, free will, freedom of thought and speech. If you look at these were once not available to the people in the Western civilization. They became available thanks to the Protestant ethic. So that is the reason why we will be spending a little bit of time on uh, the Protestant ethic. And after that, we will be looking at, we will be looking at John Locke and how Locke inaugurates what we call the real modern period, and also the notions of state and nation states which didn't exist before, which didn't exist before. So if you are if you're looking at Western political thought, we also have to try and understand why is it that we have to study Western political thought. Quite a few people ask a question: why Western political thought? Why not Indian political thought? I will begin the course with that particular question, and I will demonstrate to you as to why we have to study Western political thought, and why Western political thought is something which is more relevant to us today than Indian political thought. You must understand, this is not a question of superiority or inferiority. It's not like, you know, these are inferior Indian thought and Indian civilization. They are not at all inferior. In fact, if you ask my personal opinion, I would tell you that they are far, far superior to the Western civilization. But if we look at the political institutions and political practices with which we live, these were things that took shape in the period, in the Western political sphere, and through the medium of colonialism, they have penetrated all parts of the world. So, Western political thought is something that is not just relevant for us, it is something that is relevant for everyone in the world, including the Westerners, of course. And while doing this course, I will be disabusing you of some of the things that you might have unfortunately learnt in your undergraduation. For example, the idea of the state, or let's take before the idea of the state, Let's take the idea of the city state. A lot of people translate the Greek polis, Polis, not police, but polis. This, they basically take it as uh, this, they take it as the city state. You must understand that this is not a correct translation. As FDH Kitto says, the Greek polis was neither a city nor was it a state as we understand them. You must understand that the state is a modern institution and it started as a city state, and rather it started as principalities and consolidated into a city state. So you will see that there is a great deal of, what should I say? There is a great deal of clearing of cobwebs of confusion that needs to be done while we are doing the course and before doing the course as well. Uh, what is important is the fact that unless and until we disabuse ourselves of these false notions, our understanding of Western political philosophy or political theory or political thought, they all mean the same. Uh, these, this particular thing rather, will project a completely wrong picture. It will project a completely wrong picture of the past. It will project a wrong picture of the present. So if you have to have an accurate presentation of what our political institutions today are, how they are shaped, then we need to have a clear understanding of Western political thought. We have to understand it for what it is and not for what it is not. So I would suggest please don't read those books by Lakshmi Kant and all those, which are complete rubbish. Also, don't go by those Telugu Academy books that you may have studied while you were doing your graduation. They're full of nonsense. And what you should also remember is that there are a number of things a number of phases that are wrongly portrayed in our study of Western political philosophy and political institutions. Now, many people don't understand this, but there is a direct connection between political thought and political institutions. A lot of people think that political thought is something esoteric and it has very little or absolutely nothing to do with reality. That, I'm afraid, is not a correct position. That, I'm afraid, is not a correct position. Our entire civilization anywhere in the world has been molded by thought. So, if we talk about political thought, then we are basically talking about how, why, and when institutions have come into being. Why are they what they are today? For example, I told you that the police is not a city state. Similarly, the state did not exist till the modern period. The state as an institution is something that has to be understood only in the modern period. And you must also understand that the formation of a state together with a nation happened for practical reasons, and it is not, when I talk about the state, we're not saying territory, people, sovereignty, attributes of the state. Yeah, these are the attributes of the state, but this state with all these attributes came into being only in the modern period. Now, let me give you a little bit of a heads up on the modern period as such. If you look at the modern period begins around the 16th century AD. So please remember that commonsensical usage of language is very different from the usage of language in the technical sense in social sciences. In this case, of course, it is political science. We, for example, if somebody is trendy, somebody is fashionable, then you say that the person is modern. So we seem to think that modernity is something which is trendy, something which is there with us now. But that is not true. people like Rudolph and Rudolph have contributed to the confusion regarding what constitutes modernity through their book, which is basically called In the Pursuit of Lakshmi. In that particular book, they talk about traditional societies as opposed to modern societies. Now, I would like you to remember that traditional societies are very much modern societies. Modern societies incorporate into themselves quite a few traditions which we otherwise seem to think are not really part of the modern civilization. Those traditions are there. Another aspect of what we will be covering, that particular aspect is what I call the element of history. You cannot separate political science and history because everything that happened, all developments that took place in history, or rather in politics and in political science, are those which are completely interlinked with history. So, my approach to teaching political science is that I will be basically, what should I say? I will be looking at everything through a historical perspective. And it is this historical perspective that will give us an accurate understanding of Western political theory, thought, and the institutions that it spawned. I think we are running out of time. Please try and come on time because these classes are short as it is. And like I told you, I'm a very big bore and I have a tendency basically to go into minute details. So I require a lot of time to get across these ideas to you. And therefore, I would ask you to attend the class on time so that we can start at 9 and we'll have enough time to not cut corners and do a proper job of things. So that's it for today. A bit of an introduction. There will be more introduction tomorrow. I will be talking to you about various other things. And once we finish talking about those things, you will get a complete understanding of what is what. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, sir.
thank you. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Please be punctual. I'll appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.